We're live. Who all is in the house? Lars was here early. Unfinished project. NSB Custom Cars. Coming to us from Florida. Busted Radio Garage Chris. How's it going? The One-Eyed Cat. Captain of the Road Toad. Dean Stevenson. Let's see here. Chat's flying already. Auto Salvage Outlaws, thanks for being here. Riley's Junkyard and Petting Zoo. Probably my favorite channel name to register so far. Useful Entertainment, how's it going? Dust Devil Garage, he's working overtime, making some knuckle duster money. Right on. You've got 222 days, 3 hours, and 58 minutes. So lots of opportunities to get some race car money in there. Useful Entertainment says that he sees that Brian and Jed are getting shirts made with Gunslinger graphics. Yes. So our friend Tony's Hot Rod Garage has a company, Gunslinger Graphics, which made the shirt I'm wearing today. This is the very first Tunnel Ram Mafia shirt of Unity Motorsports Garage. And I'm telling you, the detail is beautiful. The shirt is really good quality. I can completely endorse Tony's company, Gunslinger Graphics, for the stuff they make. They do excellent, excellent work. He and his wife, they do in-house embroidery too. So you're going to be seeing more of that. They made those really nice collared staff shirts we had for No Name Nationals, and they'll be doing some other stuff too that will be offered for sale. But their work is top rate. He does fulfillment, so I get nothing for that other than just saying he's a friend and he does great work, and I think he could do good stuff for your channels. Yeah, Brian says talk to Tony. It's easy and cheap, right? Yeah, I'm sure he's got an email on his channel or whatnot, but yeah, get a hold of him. He's doing stuff. He's done some stuff for me, Brian, Jed, I believe William, Andy. He's doing stuff for lots of different channels. Pure Pontiac Garage is here. Frankenstein C20, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here. Colleen Tebow, Mohawk 62, Levi, the Hot Rod Guy Garage, Dan E. Boyd. Dan E. Boyd makes a comment that's blank, but that's okay. It's got Dan E. Boyd's name on it, so we know it means business. J-Bo's here, Unity Motorsports Garage. We're just talking about you, Andy. I am wearing the first Tunnel Ram Mafia shirt. Turbo Tom. Andrew Nelson is here. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Cope is here. Cope's three-bladed ceiling fan reminds me of the Pontiac emblem. You're welcome. You can't unsee that now. Big Mike Soupty Barn, glad you're here. Bad Tree Productions, Heathens Assemble. Yeah, I was wearing my Heathen threads on Wednesday night. I got to tell you, I like the both Schultz and Gunslinger do good stuff. I have a hoodie that Schultz did, actually a couple of hoodies that Schultz did for me, and I like the quality of the garment too, because it's cool to have our logos and stuff on shirts, but I like the good quality stuff. So as a person who wears a hooded sweatshirt probably 4 months out of the year, yeah, I'm pretty particular about the quality, but I like what they make. So know when you're getting your Heathen threads or JMJ or Duddy or any of the fine channels that Schultz makes for, you're getting good stuff. Let's see here. Howdy, Levi. We always do spend the first few minutes greeting one another, which is a great custom. I'm really glad everybody does that. I see my mom's in here. I always notice a picture of Jethro before I see Mom. Jumps off the page to me. JB's Little Shop, glad you could make it. Buff Del Campo. Mostly old parts and rust. Patrick, it reminds me. I saw this thing uh, where King Arthur's Baking Products is having this just overtly discriminatory bake sale, and you can read about the details of it online. It's something else, and well, I'll tell you, they're having this they're having not a bake sale, a baking competition, and they don't. I was thinking of John Stossel's thing. King Arthur is having a baking competition that they said is open to everyone except white people. I kid you not. This is 2024, and my only comment was, and I not on the channel, but I said my only comment was, is yeah, they just want to keep Jackie from entering it with those awesome cookies. That's what it's all about. They can't have a ringer like her getting in there. Wrong English is here. Wrong English made it to the house. That's right. I sent Wrong English's shirt, and I got a thank you card from Wrong English. I thought that was pretty cool. They are the most thoughtful people. Really, they are. Really, they are. And JB says, I see how it is. I'm not welcome here. Oh, no. That's not this live. Mexican Spec, how's it going? Buff Del Campo 223, good number. You bet. I've sent a whole lot of 223 down a barrel before. Ron says Jethro holds balloons. Jethro, yeah, he's all about that. I have a contest idea Jethro's going to help me with. I think you guys will like it. King's Biscuit. It's King Arthur's, like their baking products, like baking powder. You guys should read about it. It's crazy. It's like they wanted to be as woke as humanly possible. It's just nutty. It's an interesting story. You should read about it. Heavens Mopars, how's it going? One-eyed Cats, I'm still here heating up some of Wendy's leftovers. Yep, I'm all about that, man. Had flounder for dinner. I love flounder, all about it. I've never caught a flounder though. I've always wanted to. I've never caught a flounder. I've caught all kinds of other stuff. Never caught a flounder. I've been fishing a number of times, and people around me have caught a flounder. I've never caught one. At this point in time, if I caught one, I'd be tempted to mount it instead of fillet and eat it. But Levi says, I'm neon white. Literally. Levi's, I can do this. This is funny. So Levi had this, I don't know what happened on his channel, but I don't know if it was overexposure to light or something, but there we go. This is what he looked like on screen. And that became his contact picture for me. So when he calls, there's this glowing neon sign version of Levi that comes up. It's pretty funny. People hardly call anymore, but that's what comes up for Levi. Oh, mostly old parts. That's interesting. Everybody that had Jackie's cookies, I think there was King Arthur in them, right? So she should check out that story. I thought it was interesting. I saw it on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know Mexican Spec. Oh, they did. No, they did have a definition. I forgot they did. They did. They basically tried to define everything around it. You just have to read it for the details. Yes, Ron. That card was so cool. I appreciate that. That's great. Andy says it's hard to catch a flounder. You almost have to throw a hook in its mouth. My uncle says that He says you gig for them, and you go on when it's the dark of the moon, and you can find them at night and gig for them. I don't know. Yeah, those things must be hard to catch, but I have seen people catch them. I have never caught one. Danny Boyd, he says, ain't flounders bottom feeders? I don't know, but they're delicious. It's my favorite fish. Big Mike says, I've caught a few floundering flusio bar back in the day. I hope that was catch and release. Useful entertainment. You mean flounder from Animal House? No, I mean the fish. I've read about the way their eyes get like that. They're not born that way. The eyes migrate toward the light. So as they age, it does it on the same fish. It's kind of wild. That's what I've read anyway. I have this thing where a half an hour before I go to sleep at night, every day, I read about just something random, anything. And if there's anything I've ever wondered for any strange, weird reason, whatever it was, that half hour before I go to sleep is the time I read about it. And man, you can learn a lot of strange things and trivia and things of all varying degrees of usefulness and uselessness by reading that way a half hour before you go to bed. Unfinished Project says they feed on the bottom but are not bottom feeders. Okay. I didn't think they were, but we have so much smarts and brains in this chat. There's people that just know all kinds of stuff. Yeah, NSB says we gig flounder down here. Yeah, see, my uncle was telling me that. He used to live near Myrtle Beach and said that that's the way they would get them there in South Carolina. JB's trying to watch and upload a video. Well, right on. My upload speed is crazy slow here. And we now have competition from Xfinity. And so I could probably speed it up. The problem is I've got stuff bundled in with that, so kind of a pain. I may do it though. They put fiber in all in this neighborhood, so. NSB says they are hard to see. Movie or not seeing them. Yeah, my uncle said he has a light. He has a light that he would use on the boat, and I don't know that I would necessarily want to go out in the boat with him. I might. He wrecked a Mike boat one time in the Navy, but I don't think I'd worry about it. But I would worry more. I actually would worry more about the trailers he hauls these boats on. I could do a great video on sketchy trailers with some of the neat trailers, because he has these trailers he's found, different places and traded for and stuff. And so he's got a collection of really sketchy trailers. I probably worry more about them than the boats. Hey, Twisted Dennis is here. Glad you're here. Riley's Junkyard Petting Zoo says just got to get a grenade with a long fuse. That's a great comment in itself right there. Reminds me of the movie Jaws when the guys were instructed not to fish with dynamite. Yes, Ron. I sent that to Don. Very, very thoughtful people. We appreciate you. Mexican Spec asks, does it affect your dreams, what you read at night? Maybe. I'm actually on a pretty good streak of not dreaming crazy, weird things. I dream every night, though. I mean, every night without exception. I can't just relax and go to sleep and just wake up. That doesn't happen, ever. I have crazy dreams every day, but they've been okay the last few nights, but just the way it is. So does it affect it? I don't know. It may. Let's see. Chris 103 Customs. How's it going? Learning? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like to learn all the time. Woke baking competition. So they want all their products bought with food stamps. I don't know, Dust Devil. I didn't dig into it other than just the story seemed pretty inflammatory to me. Functional Histories is listening while Mo and I have supper. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Heavens Mopar says all successful people are readers. But are all readers successful people? Just Mopar Joe brought up a great point about reading. It's been a while. I'm sure it was sometime last year. But he said there are people that confuse reading and research. And a lot of these people that believe just stuff that isn't true have read a lot of stuff, but they've not actually done their own research. What they're doing is they are reading and taking for granted that whomever is putting forth a theory or hypothesis has actually done research, and they're synthesizing these, and they're calling it research when it isn't. So there's a big difference between reading and research. But yeah, reading is important. JB says, bottom feeder. Who's talking about me? Now, Buff says, I caught flounder in the Pacific Ocean. That's cool. I've never fished in the Pacific. I took a handgun class in the LA area about 2018 or so. I think it was the very last non-law enforcement class or non-law enforcement only class that Ken Hackathorn ever taught, I think. And I said, well, I don't want to miss my last chance ever to train with him. So I went down there to that, and man, they keep you busy. You're there from early to late. You shoot a lot of rounds, and it was a 1911 class. There was a ton of maintenance that went into it too, and homework and all of this. And it was a great class. But I'm like, you know what? I have got to be able to. I want to be able to get my feet in all four coasts. The Gulf, Lake Michigan, East and West. So I said, all right, I'm going to do it. So the day before the last day of class, I said, I'm going to do it. So I got out because I had nothing else to do. I went on this roller coaster of a commute to, I think it was some Long Beach area, whatever it was. It was the closest water to where I was. And I've never seen anything like it was not, if you see, for example, a lot of these tourist beaches on the East Coast or the Gulf or something, where you have, this long sand beach and it's real smooth and it's made for beach and family activities. That's one thing, right? This was nothing like that. This was like, it reminded me kind of when the hurricane had hit after Hurricane Hugo, and it took all the sand out. It was real steep. The sand was real coarse, and it had all of the sketchiest looking crowd hanging around on these different places. And I'm sure they thought I was nuts, but I just, I parked, I walked out there, I took my shoes off, I walked down onto the sand. I said, all right, I got my feet in the Pacific, and I walked back. But anyway, yeah. And then, of course, I put my feet in Lake Michigan when I was with Cope. I did that last year. Riley's Junkyard Petting Zoo says the government flying drones overhead. Yeah, maybe. There's no telling. Mexican Spec said lucid dreams are best when you realize it's a dream. I don't know. Useful Entertainment says, I like listening to horror stories as I go to sleep. Then when I do fall asleep, I get injected straight into a horror film, and it's fun. You know what? I completely believe that coming from you, Marty. That seems exactly like something that you would enjoy. It really does. You guys, no one's ever going to call Useful Entertainment crew cookie cutter. That's for sure. Cultured Redneck Garage. His son came up and says, I want to understand how a differential works. I think this one's going to turn out all right. Right on, man. You have an open diff so you can show him the gears and explain how it differentiates speed and all that good stuff. Danny Boyd says reading is one component of research. Yes, it is, and it's an important one. But it's not the same thing. One-Eyed Cat says, I've been dreaming of running better than 950 the last few days. Yeah. Well, dreams are good. Dreams are fine. But then there's, doing is greater than dreaming. So you want to have if you want to make dreams happen, you have to have a goal, and a goal requires an action plan and a time frame. And you guys get that. That's the kind of people who turn out over here on Fridays. Mexican Spec says his son has no interest in cars. How old is your son, Mexican Spec, if we can ask? Some people learn how cool cars are later than others. What can I say? Boring Builds as a customer says, since you fixed my transmission 6 months ago, my radio doesn't work. People will come up with all kinds. I love the just rolled in videos where somebody says a switch doesn't work and you'll look at change under the switch so you can't push it down and stuff like that. Andrew Nelson says a smart man only believes half of what he reads or hears. A brilliant man figures out which half. I can see a lot of truth in that. Well, that's the thing about the internet is it's a fountain of information, but there's no publisher anymore. There used to be a publisher, which is kind of the gatekeeper of misinformation in the books we would see in libraries. But with the internet, we don't have that. And there's a good and a bad thing there because it prevents dishonest publishers with an agenda from withholding good information, but it also lets crackpot information get put up there on an equal level. And so we have to do more diligence than ever to try to vet the information we get. Andy likes to read SAE papers. I can completely believe that. I like reading all kinds of stuff. It could be just about anything. Mo Parral, how's it going, man? Glad you're here. Turbo Tom says, I watched that video we're in, saw your name in the credits 2 times. Which one was that, Turbo Tom? The video I was in. Which one would that be? Unfinished Project says, why have I never seen this guy in the chat? Absurd Ty Higgins. Probably he's busy tattooing somebody. He's probably putting a big unfinished project across someone's arm. Yeah, Ty is the front runner in the No Name 500. He's at 446 subscribers as of this afternoon. Cool guy, super nice. He had a custom Chevy van at No Name Nationals last year, and I think he's bringing that and some Volkswagen power this year. So, but this year he's going to be racing because he's going to get his 500 subs. Big Mike said, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't deserve kids. Absolutely. We reminded that every day, unfortunately. NSB says he's 2 miles from the Atlantic. That's cool. BNR says, what's the topic tonight? Well, you see it. You see it. We've got some guests that we're working through scheduling with just here and there, and good guests. And we'll bring them on as things work out, as we get all schedules done. But tonight's kind of freestyle. Andrew Nelson says York, Pennsylvania is home. Yeah, I'd like to see the Nelsons sometime. I'm going to be making a trip up there before too long. I've got a special transmission delivery for the One-Eyed Cat. Chris 103 Customs is asking a good question for the group here. Can I put an old 86 Dodge transmission and transfer case on a new 2008 3500 Mega Cab 4-wheel drive 5.7, both automatic? Chris, the one thing, well, there's several things going on here. So if it's an 86, it's going to be, we're talking about an automatic or manual. And I'm assuming that you've probably got, being an 86, it's going to be a 727 with a 203 transfer case, right? Is that what you've got? Yes, it'll go, but it's not electronic, and your truck's going to want electronic transmission, which you can fix that. But I think the transfer case outputs on the wrong side. And if Cope is still in here, he can definitely answer that because his power wagon is two-wheel drive. He didn't want to switch, but because he's got the 48RE and no 46RH in his, and he says that it outputs on the wrong side. And he didn't want to switch to front axles. He just runs it as two-wheel drive. I think you're going to run into that there. Useful Entertainment says the Nelsons are not far from them in Harrisburg. That's right. The Nelsons came up for our live at Carlisle last time we were up there. J-Bo said, I had a dream where I was in a locker room with 100 urinals and it didn't go well. Yeah, there's no dream that could have 100 urinals that goes well. I wonder if a plumber ever dreams like that. Twisted Mopar says, never been so aggravated and frustrated, wants to throw in the towel on an engine build. Never faced so many issues. Well, that's the nature of the beast sometimes. Power through and it'll be a good story later. Danny Boyd says, we can't trust the gatekeepers anymore. Well, we never could, but you know what? It was one way of dealing with it. Let's see. Trying to get a little bit caught up here. Election campaigning. Oh, you talking about Virginia 12th, Turbo Tom? Is that what you're talking about? That documentary? I've been there several times. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. Chris Custom says it's a 205 case. Maybe. I don't know if you can clock that one differently or not. I'm not a four-wheel drive guy, but I know the 205 is a divorced case, so maybe you can. If any of you guys have that four-wheel, I'll tell you who'd be a good person to ask that question, a real good person, Duddy's Adventure. Ask Duddy's Adventure. He would probably know. He would be my go-to for such a thing. Yeah, MP205, right. But he will be the one I would ask. He's an off-road dude. Yeah, Danny Boyd says a divorce case solves the problem if there's room for it. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking, because with the 203, I don't think you could. But the 203, I think, is what all of them had up through 80. And then 81, I think it could be the 203, but might also do the 205. So BNR says, I found out my Mopar daily driver, the 2008 Mitsubishi Raider two-wheel drive is rare. Just 3,348 made, including 2 and 4x4 crew cabs. No idea, man. Riley's Junkyard Petting Zoo says put an LS and 4L60E in it. Yuck. You always could, but I wouldn't. I'd solve the problem with the output first. But yeah, there's two people that you could ask them, probably pretty knowledgeable on that. John Cope and Duddy's Adventure. Twisted Mopar says he opened up a package of ARP head studs and it was missing 2 long studs and 2 washers and 2 nuts. A blister pack and it was missing all that? I actually might have that, Dennis. I have an incomplete set of ARP. There's a, I think it's small block though. Shoot. I mean, yeah, it's new. They should make it right, but there's a chance I could have what you need. Useful Entertainment says the LS is pointless without adding a turbo. That's anything with enough turbo. Colleen says, Riley, you're outnumbered here. Well, that's okay. We've got all kinds of people who have different stuff like the Ford. I think this year is going to be the year of the Ford, by the way. But we've got Ford and GM people and everything in here too. Yeah, Dean Stevenson says Andy mixed up 429 Boss. That's right. Unfinished Projects as he popped out. When I came back, I got a transgender vaccine ad. I didn't know there was such a thing, but the machine has probably harvested those words, and I'll get one now. Thanks. Busted Radial says boost. Indeed. Lots of it. Busted Radial's got the boost going on over there. He's going to try to incinerate those tires even faster now. Auto Salvage Outlaw says one of the cheapest engine swaps is the LS swap. Yeah, I've done an LS swap. What I like is they're compact. They fit things pretty nicely. And they make a lot of power, good design. I got nothing against the LS. But I remember when I was a teenager, the generic engine was the 350 Chevrolet, the small block Chevy, 305, 350. That was the one you pop the hood and people yawn. And that's changed now. Now it's the LS. But there's a reason for that. They're boringly reliable. They're good. They're everywhere. They're cheap. They make power. So it's, kind of a compliment to be a boring, reliable engine in a good power plant like that. Parts are available everywhere. Yes, they are. B&R is saying the Turbo LS guys discover the 4L60E is worthless even after spending 10 grand. Use a 4L80E bone stock. Yeah, but I would imagine that the 4L80E is taking a lot more power to turn too. So there's, I don't know those well enough to know why people should do what they should do. There are people who won't touch the 904 because they're all about the 727, but I love the 904. So I don't know. I try to stick with transmissions I got more experience with than those. I've done one 4L60 and it's nothing I would sign up to do again. I'm probably going to do one again before I die of something, but I know a guy wants me to do one right now, but it's like, yeah. Big Mike Sooty Barnes says, we're going to have some exciting no-name nationals content on the channel this week. Yes, Big Mike, and I know about what that's going to be, or I got an idea. So, yeah, be watching Big Mike's channel. Cool stuff coming up over there really soon. Useful Entertainment says to B&R, throw the auto in the trash and get a T56. That was actually exactly what I did on my friend's Camaro. 700 R4 out, gone, T56 in. Never looked back. Andrew Nelson says we've put LSs into Fords, Fiat, Datsun, Eagle, Chevy. Yep. They're great swap engines. They really are. They're great engines. 4L80E is a turbo 400 with an overdrive. Yeah, I know it. I know what it is, but I've never done one. I got a TH400 that I'm supposed to be doing here pretty soon. Busted Radial says a built 904 could be extremely reliable and handle some power. If you want to see that, I did a 904 last year, and it's the limit you're going to do without getting into really exotic billet stuff. If you want to see one, what your limit is with the exotic billet stuff, look at Professor P. Shane Polito's got one. It's got the billet output, input shafts, and all that. So 2 levels of limit there. Cope says nothing wrong with being challenged. Yeah, challenges are good. I like a challenge. Andrew Nelson says the LS swaps are so common, we're pulling them to put in 4200s. Yeah, what those guys are doing with the 4200 is amazing. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly put a 727 in his four-wheel drive 97 Ram, left out overdrive. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So here's Twisted Mopar Garage's engine, the one that's giving him a fit. We'll zoom in on that. What is this, Dennis? Is it a 512? Is that what that is? Oh, look at that. Looks like the valley's done. Is that Gliptol? Good stuff. That's what's fighting Twisted Dennis at the moment. Cope is troubleshooting a converter. B&R says somebody on YouTube was doing a 904 into a Chevy half-ton Suburban. Cool. Yeah, Dennis confirms the 512. B&R, what channel was that? I'd like to see that. And what engine are they doing with that? Dust Devil says at least it's not orange, Dennis. Oh, come on, Dust Devil. You think orange belongs on this, not on engines and cars, right? Brian is not into orange and red. I think my favorite engine color is the Chrysler orange. And if you think about it, it's a very brief time in our history that we had orange engines. Short-lived. People can look back 100 years and we'll see how cool that was. Mexican Spec says yellow doesn't belong on an engine. I dislike it so much. Mexican Spec, the first engine I ever built, I painted Daytona yellow. I'll find a picture of it. Still have it. Still have the engine. Dust Devil says only orange I like is on oil filters. And that's because you get the Fram because it has the undercoating on it that you can grip, right? Am I right, Dust Devil? Useful Entertainment says orange engines look like they were purchased at Home Depot. I was into orange engines before I had ever heard of Home Depot. One-eyed cat's running Ford Blue in my Valiant. Oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't known that. All works. Danny Boyd shops at Lowe's. Well, we've got a Lowe's and Home Depot right across the street from one another here. Unfortunately, the place where I'm doing that stupid expensive remodel has no Home Depot, so you don't have as much competition. Useful Entertainment says I like the AMC teal they used on engines. I did the top end on a 258.6 for my dad, and I painted it in AMC Torque teal. Looked very nice. Mexican Specs of my 225 slant 6 was black from the factory. Yeah, that was a later one, right? Like 81 up. Road Beer Travel says my slant absolutely should be yellow. Cool. I think that would look great, actually. Yellow is a little different for engines, and I kind of like it, even though I know it's freaky, but it's okay. Dust Devil says I paint engines black, but I have a reason for that. Okay. I hate to say it, but I probably am going to paint the engine black that goes in the Dart Sport for the simple reason that's how it was raced. The 340 that was in it was painted black. And I cannot find a single picture of that engine. I remember clearly that it was painted black, but Maybe I will. That engine vanished over the last 20 years, but Max Wedge Dick Dashford says Dad painted a 340 flat white, had to paint it again by the time it was in with greasy handprints. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, paint them white to spot oil leaks. Light colors don't do well on engines, especially flat. Mexican Spec says, "Yeah, I like colors that they came in. I think those are plenty exciting enough for me." Oh, it was in his 63 Mexican slant. So you talk about a 63 slant six. Okay, yeah. Uncommon. I think most of them were orange that far back. 427 4-speed Skylark or meth-inspired 71 F100. Well, that would be the other 71 F100 at No Name Nationals if you bring it. Now, B&R says Mountains Garage did a special last month and said that muscle car 4-speeds are still the strongest manual transmissions ever built. Talked about T56 and others that don't hold up to hard drag racing. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. There's a lot of good designs, though. I think my favorite of the factory 4-speeds was the Ford top loader. I think that design was probably the best of the factory stuff. Mexican specs of the U.S. painted engines one color, Mexican or different, so you knew it was from here. Cool. It's all good. Road Beer Travel says black engines are for guys that can't fix oil leaks, and they're for me. Let me tell you, my driveway is never going to rust. Yeah, Max Wedge Dick Dashford says mine changes back and forth from black to orange. Yeah, I know exactly how that happens. I had a really difficult oil leak to find on the CRV one time. The variable valve timing solenoid that bolts to the head was cracked. It had a hairline crack on the back of it. So it wasn't the valve cover gasket. It was so hard to find that because it was way up on the back. It was so hard to see. And the way I finally found it was I cleaned everything. I got my phone set down in there, and I did a video when I started it up, and I saw where the oil came from. I said, I still can't see it, but I think it's got to be this housing. I took the housing off. I thought it was the gasket. I put it back. It still leaked. I'm like, what? I took it back off, looked really closely, and I found just a hairline crack on the flange. So fine, I didn't even see it, and I was looking for it. And sure enough, that's what it was. It was a pain to find that thing. Dust Devil Garage says I paint them black because it helps show off all the speed and shiny parts. Well, that's true. The chrome on a black engine will pop more than any other engine. That is true. And it did on that Dark Sport. Really, it had the chrome Moroso valve covers and the tall nuts that you use when that you can take off with your hands so that you can adjust valves and stuff without using any other tools. And that was a real 90s thing, 80s and 90s thing, but that's what it had. I'm really wanting to put it back to that original look. I want it to look very period correct. That car won't have any LEDs or any of that on there. Max Wedges, I can't fix leaks. Lost a lot of times, got chased off the track before I staged. I'm telling you, Max, come to No Name Nationals, Deke is going to be looking for that stuff. And we had a really good year in that regards last year because so many people got their oil leak fixed before they came. When the worst oil down award was a leaking valve cover gasket, yeah, we did good. So we want to continue to improve on that. Dougster said had a 307 with 300,000 miles and had a signature tick, but it would still swat at 100 no problem with a 200 R4. Yeah, we've all had good results with different stuff. 38 said those T-nuts always backed off for me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. Riley's Junkyard Petting Zoo says, here's an oil leak test. Put a sheet of paper under your car. If you have a spot, check your oil and drive. If there's no spots, don't drive because you have no oil. It's probably true. One thing that I get away with, because I'm really bad for not caring about such things, that CRV holds 6 quarts of oil. So even a quart down, there's still 5 quarts of oil in that little system. So why it holds so much, I'm not even sure. But hey, those things run a long, long, long time. I've got 350,000 miles and counting, so I can't complain. Dust Devil Brian says white or gray engine will be cool. May try that later. Brian likes to mix it up and try different things. Give him a lot of credit for that. Mexican Spec says, I never had an 80s wagon that lasted more of a couple of days for sale. Yeah, I can believe that. Wagons were underappreciated in their time. They were appreciated as family haulers. Then when they got replaced with the SUV, they were totally underappreciated, but now they are on the comeback. Unfortunately, while a lot of people kept two doors because they saw them going to be valuable, nobody kept wagons. They're like trucks. People used them up and they're gone. Max Wedge Dick Dasher says, I think I had too much oil pressure, 95 pounds, filling up valve. Yeah, no one needs 95 pounds for anything. Blue Collar Performance, anytime I saw a neon green engine, I assume whoever painted it, hobbies include methamphetamine. I've seen some lime green engines. They're out there. Dexter says the best part of my wagon I bought from my old Scoutmaster, so I went all over that place in that car as a kid. All righty. Hot Rod Guy Garage is in the chat. Meant to say hi to him. He's going to bring something, I would say, more conventional till you pop the hood this year. So we're not bringing the mid-engine Geo, but we're bringing, what is it, 306 turbo Torino this year? Love this community. Never lacks for creativity. Oh, Blue Collar Nate, did you get any bites on your Pinto? Useful Entertainment says, I got the only 80s GM wagon in this area. Cash for Clunkers finished them off. Yes, it did. And what an unforgivable, stupid program that was, Cash for Clunkers. Road Beer Travel says Hot Rod Magazine once featured a neon green Nova with a purple engine. Guys loved it in the 90s. Sure. Going to be a tractor this year, Hot Rod Guy Garage says. Yep, cool. I like it. Ron English apparently is talking about Lars' alter ego, Larzetta. Okay. B&R says he worked on a 2014 International Pro Star Semi with 774,000 miles, and at 1,400 TPMs, I guess he means RPMs, it had 100 PSI of oil pressure. There we go. B&R has the only vehicle in the world that he works on that needs 100 pounds of oil pressure, but there it is. Howdy there, Mopar people. Just Mopar Joe says. Glad you could join the chat, Joe. Joe has a good video up on the Mopar tax. If you haven't seen it, you should check that out. If you haven't heard about it, well, you're living under a rock. What can I say? We've got to be frugal about the Mopar tax. We all have to pay it. Twisted Mopar says, Joe, you missed the pick of my engine. So I'll put it back up. Joe, this is Twisted Mopar Garage's 512. He said it's fighting him every step of the way, but there it is. How much compression is that, Dennis? Looks like you got a mild dome in there. What is that, about a 13 to 1? Andrew Nelson says, Joe, where's the love? Might need that oil pressure to fire the injectors or something like that. I don't know. Riley says, my Buick, I'm lucky if I get 15 pounds idle and 35 driving. Yeah, that'll work for a lot of things. That'll work for most things, actually. Joe approves. 38 says, it finally has dried up enough to get a car in the shop. Not the car I want to be working on, but it's the one I need to be working on. Right on, man. I got a project that's not the one I want to be working on, but it is the one I am working on in the garage right now. Twisted Mopar saying 14 and a half to 1. Okay, cool. It's a lot of squeeze. You plan on going fast, don't you, Dennis? I hope it works out for you to come back to No Name Nationals. We'll see how much quicker that Duster is. You'd be coming up from what did you have in there? It's a 426-inch 383. Is that what you have in there now? A low deck 426, I'm thinking. On a hot summer day, it's closer to 8 idling. My swinger would go to 0 idling, or not 0, but the light would come on. Practically couldn't see it on the gauge. But that's a 318. They it would be very interesting to know how little oil pressure a 318 needs to go 100,000 miles. Andrew Nelson says, if you found out I have a Hemi in the barn, would you love me then? I wouldn't doubt at all that you have a Hemi in the barn, Andrew Nelson. Well, B&R loves extremely high oil pressure. Mexican Spec says he sells new 73 Duster taillight lenses. 437 is what's in Dennis. It's a low deck 430. Okay, yeah. So it's like what, a 60 over 383 with a 440 crank? Is that what you got there? That's what it sounds like. Dust Devil says, I would love to find an old Chevy Citation, but I think cash for clunker kilos. Dust Devil, I know where there is a Citation X11 that's been rotting to the ground for at least the last 10 years. It's white with the blue decals on it. Useful Entertainment says the 318s are like 307s. They don't need oil. They just run. Yeah. I'll tell you, 318s are tough engines. When I was a teenager, I learned why you don't run that plastic tubing that comes with your mechanical oil pressure gauge. I was at, I think I was over at Virginia Tech when it happened. That tubing, of course, had gotten brittle and vibration and heat, and it cracked. And I had oil coming back on the windshield from under the hood. And I'm like, what? Dust Devil Brian says, give me pics. Pics of what, sir? Oh, yeah, the Citation. Yeah, I'll get them when I can. I have no idea if the thing is for sale or anything, but it's been sitting there about 10 years. I'm sure, I would say I'm sure people have asked, but I don't know if they have, because some people don't appreciate those things. I got no problem. Knock on the door. I will probably be over there in another month or two for where it is. So, One-Eyed Cat says, no Hemi here. I do have an aluminum block 225/6 in the garage. Max Wedge Dick Dashley says, I had a 318 make it about 10 miles to home with broken shaft. Popped and banged, but made it. Was talking about an oil pump shaft? So clapped out, it couldn't lock up. Yeah, I could see that happening. I knew a guy that ran a slant 6 for a very long time with a lifter out of the hole. I mean, what oil pressure, right? Dust Devil had an X11 with the ground effects and cowl induction. It was a cool car. Yeah, they were neat. I mean, I think all that stuff like that was just paying tribute to muscle cars. It's basically what it was, sort of. Mohawk said they banned the 318s from the burn down competition at the car show a few years ago because they wouldn't die. What? I don't even know what that is, Mohawk. Andrew Nelson says we have over 70 engines here. There's a Hemi here. Cool. Like I said, Andrew, I would like to see you when I bring up Don's transmission. Like to see you, like to see Buck, whatever works out. I plan on going up there sometime, maybe into March, early April, something like that. So we'll work it out. Mexican specs, I've seen some nice ones here for sale, and not all that much. Our celebrities were V6 and stick shifts. Yeah, see, Mexican spec, he sees some cool stuffs that were there that we never had. Like things that were manual transmission we never had here and things like that. I think that's so cool. I mean, you would think that they would offer that for both markets, but no. I don't think I've ever seen a celebrity with a manual transmission here. Of course, I don't know how many celebrities I've ever paid any attention to in the first place, but that's besides the point. Yeah, 38 POS racing feels like he's slacking you out. Well, I took a transmission off your hands. We can help you clear out some of your inventory. Dust Devil Garage is my oddball dream car is a 79 AMX. They make an AMX of some kind in 79. Lars put up the link to the No Name Nationals. Thank you, Lars. If you're not yet registered, you can register right there. Registrations are doing well. A little bit of a lull because we had so many people register really early, and then usually by midsummer they really pick up and surge in there to last. But anybody who wants to register early, we greatly appreciate it. Andrew Nelson says April 6th and 7th, he's going to be in Florida for the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. So if you want to meet and hang out with Andrew, it's a good place. You might see him there. Mexican specs in my AMX is an 83 model. Okay. Oh, the 79 AMX was a Spirit, which was a Hornet hatchback. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Riley says, can you camp on the drag strip if I bring a tent? You can camp on the grounds. I wouldn't camp on the strip, but I would park on the. I would camp on the area beside the strip. But yes, Jeffers is 22 acres. It's great for camping. It's level. They've got shower rooms, concessions. It's a great place to camp. More people camped the second year than the first because they found out how much fun it was, and the weather's perfect and everything. So. Well, useful entertainment. I had to tell him. I mean, I wouldn't want him to put up a tent, there on the about 400 feet out. That block at 330 is not for you to anchor your tent into. Laura says camping is the way to go. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but the owners might mistake Riley for a homeless. The whole place is, you'll feel right in. Set a tent at the tree. Yeah, might have to. Turbo Tom drove a 2015 Grand Cherokee in the shop with no bolts in the intake. The gasket was just sticking to it. Cope is here. Potato greeting to the Dougster. Joe is trying to embezzle some good used John Cope parts from another build he's telling me about. I think that's a cool thing. Can't let that good stuff go to waste. Yeah, this is what Brian sent me, his AMX, or an AMX. based on the Spirit. Yep. Well, that's so blurry. It won't focus. There we go. Burn down is cut the bottom water hose, cut the oil pan open, start the car, just see how long it takes to lock up. Oh, well, I can see why they wouldn't have a 318 in that. Yeah, definitely. Well, if you want to go home early, you could use an FE, or you could use a 4.7 Dodge. That would be a short deal right there. Mexican Specs looks just like mine with different wheels. That's a good looking car. Really, it is. That is sharp. I always thought those looked weird. They just didn't look like they were always just too chunky for cars because they were all-wheel drive, I guess. They just never really looked like a car should to me. No 304 available in them. Well, you can always fix that. So I take it BRG has been to the Cope headquarters. Andrew Nelson says that they have a stand at the Maple Grove Flea Market on March 16th. Well, that's cool. Dust Devil Garages, that one was a 304. Yeah. Well, if you can do a 304, you can also do a 360 or a 401, or one fits the other's will too. Dust Devil says factory 304 and 904, right on. So somebody who knows more about this AMC stuff than I do, if you had the all-wheel drive stuff that they did, right? What was the deal with the transfer case? What transfer case and transmissions did those run? Because I'm not familiar with them enough to know. Andy likes the 304. Yeah, what's not to like? They're cool. Danny Boyd says new someone had one of the 258. Yeah, the 258 was pretty common. In fact, I did a built-in engine for an 89 Hyundai Excel, and it had the Mikuni 2-barrel carburetor, and I modified a 258 inline 6 air filter to fit it. Took very little modification to make that work just right. It was a new process. Torque Flight with new. Which new process? Was it a 203? Yeah, it didn't have a transfer case, a viscous clutch. Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking. But how did that? I didn't think they had a transfer case. So it used a viscous clutch. Well, where was it? How was it mounted on that? How did that? I've never worked on one ever. In fact, I've obviously never even looked at a picture of one to figure that out. Andrew Nelson went to school with a guy that had 5 to 6 Rambler scramblers. Yeah, okay. Makes me think of that one. The 318 Will Run Tim has. He's got that Rambler. The part of the regular maintenance is retorquing the head bolts. There was no room for a transfer case. See, that's what I was thinking. So I'm wondering how that viscous coupler setup worked on them. Now this is what my half-hour reading tonight's probably going to be. I'm going to be wanting to see how the viscous coupler setup worked on the AMC four-wheel drive cars. Heavens Mopar says we have a solid AMC Hornet station wagon, 364 speed, no engine, disc brakes, and it's solid. You have things that are solid, Heavens Mopars. It's for sale. Hornet station wagon, 364. Does it have the engine and transmission with it? Yeah, I don't know anything about the AMC stuff. Dan says they used a torque flight. Yeah, they use a torque flight, but I don't know how that worked. That might be something interesting for doing a weird application for a torque flight. Heavens Mopar says we don't have the rust up here like you guys do down there. But you find stuff that just like, see, Scott says that, but then there's like this, and I mean, where did that car spend its life, Scott? I don't know. I've never been to Spokane. I don't know what the climate's like there at all. Dougster says Hornet station wagon with a 383 Mopar 727. Never seen it, but that'd be cool. I believe they had to get a torque flight with a GM bell to run behind the Iron Dork 4. Yes, they did. I have no idea what this was that Riley's Junkyard and Petting Zoo emailed me, but yeah, that looks like something that shouldn't go down the road. That's his camping setup. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. My chat's jumping. I'm missing a few things. Andrew Nelson spinning wrenches early tomorrow. Cool, man. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. Heavens Mopars was told that Charger came from St. Mary's, Idaho, but they cut the back end off. The rest of the car is super solid. Why did they cut the back end off? It's like they left one quarter, took the other quarter. Riley made a 10 out of a 69 Electra. Yeah, cool. NSB's here. Dakota's here. How's it going, Dakota? Oh, wait a minute. There's another sticker. The subject sticker, they replied to it. Here's the other. There you go. That's a better angle right there. Hint that they anchor on the back of that Buick. So there you go. Yeah, you should be able to do that setup at Sykeston with no problem. Cave Dave, how's it going? Glad you're here. Dakota says, I'm doing real good. Right on, man. Andy says, AMC, you have to love an engine that uses small block Chevy push rods and Mopar lifters. Redbeard is here. Redbeard, did you wait until Andrew Nelson fled so that you wouldn't get called out? No, I don't think so. But we just got the two quickest people in the chat. One just left and the other just got here. Thanks for swinging by. Mexican Specs has got to go. All the animals want to eat. I hear that. Redbeard, you got any progress on that small block build? BNR likes the two-seater AMX. Yeah, I think it's cool. I got passed by one of those cars about a month ago out on the road. Driving by, was orange. Auto Salvage Outlaw says I'm the slowest. Well, the clocks don't turn off there until about 21 seconds. I think you got 22 before they turn off. I wonder how long it would take somebody that's pretty athletic to actually run the 8th mile. I don't know the answer to that. That'd be interesting. Where can I hear me right now? I don't know what that means. Joe says Redbeard has a small block. Working on the Hemi right now. Okay, so you're not going to switch to the small block. You're gonna keep that. What is it, 604? Joe says I'll take that action. Big Mike, thanks for coming by, my man. Appreciate you. And we're going to be looking for your good content coming up on your channel here pretty soon. Dougster says 604 Hemi. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking that is. Don't find any flounders, Andy says. Indirect connection in here. See, I miss comments on occasion. I'll just tell you guys, because it seems like almost invariably after every live, I get a few emails. Hey, did you see this? Did you see that? I'm like, I never saw that at all. So I see people greeting in connection. Now I see them. And it's because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 messages on the screen because they're short. If they're longer, you might have 6. So I'll usually get 5 to 8 messages on my screen at one time. And if I have that many come in within the same few seconds when it refreshes, one that's all the way at the bottom of the screen will jump all the way past the top and I'll never even see it. We get usually anywhere from about 600 to 800 chat messages per hour. So I do miss them from time to time. So for instance, I just saw people greeting Indirect Connection. I never saw him get here. But I do my best. Unity Motorsports Garage. So will it take a 4-second pass to take the crown this year? I don't know about that. I know that there's a lot of guys that can throw down 5s, and it all depends on stuff breaking and whatnot. We'll see. We very easily have half a dozen guys running in the 5s this year. Your Redbeard is saying, Levi says, if it takes a 4, I'm out. But if it's got a 5, I got a 5 in the bag. We want to see that, Levi. Redbeard says it's got a 605 Hemi. I'm taking the oil pan off right now and convert it to a dry sump. Okay, but you're going to keep the Hemi for now. Thought you had a big inch small block that you were doing something with. I thought you were trying something completely different to go really quick NA with a small block. It'd be nice to see a really quick NA small block. Joe says, I've got bootleg pre-COVID Cope Racing transmission parts for free. I can finally run a CRT sticker and we'll be ready, Levi. It's good stuff. Twisted Mopar says, I'm sure Redbeard will be in the 4s. I wouldn't shock me in the least. Redbeard, you did what, a 552 on that track? So really hoping Redbeard comes back. We're going to see some quick cars and heads up this year. Riley says somebody should build a boosted small block 440 ovals. Riley, you're somebody. We always like seeing good BOP stuff, but this community likes the BOP stuff. So There's always lots of that kind of Buick, Olds, Pontiac, that kind of stuff going on. Busted Radio Garage says, I'm going to gut Linda's seats and try to pull it off with 18 pounds of boost on twin superchargers. Twin superchargers? Or just blow the engine either way. Okay. Wow. So you're going to try to really throw down with Linda. What kind of chassis do you have in that, Chris? Redbeard is keeping the Hemi just so I can make the No Name Nationals this year. Yeah, you don't want to switch over and all the stuff you got to do. Well, right on, man. Hey, 2X Jeff. I saw him go by. Yep, there you are. Yep, 2X Jeff has got some cool stuff going on with the front engine dragster. That is a cool build. Old school front engine dragster where you're sitting over top of the rear axle housing. No drive shaft. It just has a link between the transmission and rear axle splined on. Super cool. That thing has a lot of work to go before it's going to run, but if there's anybody here who's going to pull that off and be running that thing by September, it'll be 2Hacks Jeff. Jeff sleeps about 2 hours a night. Literally, I don't think he sleeps about 2.5 hours a night every night. And so that's part of why he gets so much done. Redbeard's also building a 440 small block turbo engine. Ah, yeah, okay. But you think you might swap that into the Demon at some point. Right, okay. I saw that, but I wasn't sure what you wanted to do with it. Busted Radio's putting in an 850 cage. Yeah. Oh, Blue Collar, you did sell the Pinto. Okay. Nate'll be there with something. Those guys get it done. I hope the Pinto found a good home. I think that's really cool, and that's a neat car. So I hope we see it turn back up sometime. Jeff is part vampire, I believe. Maybe so. Kind of reminds me when I read an interview. I can't remember who it was with now, but it was the World's Strongest Man in the 80s when Bill Kazmaier was competing. They were running through their events, and Bill Kazmaier, about 2/3 of the way through competition, he disappears for a while and comes back. And they said the way that guy performed without any legitimate rest in between, they really think that he was literally exchanging his blood for fresh blood with like an IV and a pump that was running it through. And so I don't know. There's some people that maybe Jeff, that's the secret to never needing any sleep. I don't know. But I guess that's the kind of stuff you do to be the strongest man in the world. %6 is in here. Dizzy Izzy says, looky here, some of the best folks on YouTube. Hey, everybody. Well, howdy, Dizzy. My average this week is 3 hours a night. Yeah, he's really crashing out early. Yeah, I bet that slow charge feature on the phone doesn't work for Jeff. Unity Motorsports Garages, let's get Redbeard over 1,000. Redbeard, you're really close to your 1,000 subs, I think. Yeah, Lee, we can't get away without having any sleep. Jim's Fastback Garage is here. How's it going? Danny Boy says, I need at least 7 hours sleep. Andy says that Redbeard is 2 subs away or 4 subs away from 1,000. So yeah, somebody put the link up for Redbeard and go check him out if he earned your sub. But, do remember he's got some cool stuff over there and check it out. If you earned your sub, subscribe. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. I would say you have it already. Auto Salvage put some seats in his car this week. He's working on it. I think he's going to try to get the T-Bird to No Name National. No Name Nationals in September. Useful Entertainment says, I heard YouTube changes monetization requirements. I've heard there have been changes here and there, but I don't know much about them. All I know is that you know, I get a little bit from Google here and there, and I've only drawn it one time, but I let it pile up otherwise. Dizzy's going to do a video on his Smith & Wesson 459. Very interesting history. Do it tomorrow. Cool. It's a revolver, I'm assuming. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly says, my back doesn't let me sleep long. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I hear that. I don't have any back pain. I don't know how. He says, according to Mike at Den of Dreams, they just jacked up the watch hours. Well, did they put it up to where it used to be? Is that what they did? Because it used to be 4,000. So have they put, and then it went to 3,000. Did they put it back up to 4,000? I mean, Levi says mine is still 4,000 watch hours needed. That's interesting. So that could have been that Levi applied for the monetization when he hit the subs but didn't have the watch hours, so he's kind of stuck in the old requirement, which is fine. You'll get there either way. Mater, I think, sneaked in there. How you doing? BNR says, Dakota, there used to be a C4 Corvette with a 401 small block Chevy twin turbo with 2,000 horsepower. Ran 699 at 201. No pro mod, only roll cage. Car was insane. I got to tell you, I remember in NMCA when they were breaking that 6-second barrier with cars that weren't pro mods, with real steel cars. That was wild. Redbeard got his 1,000. Cool. I made it 500 on the show as well. That's right, you did. Well, when you're closing on 1,500, come on back. As our No Name 500 guys get really close to 500, I try to get them on a live stream. So we had Den of Dreams Garage Mike on here to get his 500, and Ty Higgins is next closest. So I hopefully we'll be able to get Ty on a live here soon so that he can get over 500. And it's always fun to celebrate 500 together with the community. Max Wedge says that I remember funny cars running 6s in the quarter. Yep. And BNR saying it's an okay cam, compromise for affordable. Every cam is a compromise. Every cam is a compromise. Jim's Fastback Garage at 356. I'll tell you what, Jim, and I know that take it for what it's worth, but the thing that will help you get to 500 is registering, because a lot of these guys in the chat can tell you what their experience was about registering and the way that helps get you on the radar and get you on the list and channel reviews and all of that. And it's just that little show of commitment to the No Name 500, and then the community rewards that. So just a thought. Do what you think's right for you. You're at 356. You can easily get your 104 more subs between now and September. But that said, I can recommend people register, but ask people in the community what their thoughts are. And a lot of people in this chat have done just that over the years. Riley says, I registered and got 20 subs in the first 2 weeks, right? Lars is saying absurd tie. Hey, yeah, 54 subs away. That's right. He's at 446. That's what I saw today. Jim says, I've gained over 200 since your last live. Yeah. Indirect connection suggested to register. Yeah. Yeah. You have good stuff, though. I like that fast back you're working on. That's cool. That's different. Race math is good math. Yes, it is. Well, you got to have the math first. If you got the math, you can apply it to whatever you want. Later, Chris. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate you. YouTube keeps pushing my video out. It's over 11,000 views. Yes. Keep following it up, though. That'll do it. You've got it. How much is it to register right now? As of right now, the registration price is $82.50. But that said, I said it's going up. I just said it'll be sometime after the first of the year, and we're after the first of the year, so it can go up at any time. It needs to go up, truthfully, but right now I have not changed it yet. It's $82.50 to register. But everyone pretty universally agrees it's a considerable bargain. And it truthfully needs to go up a little just to keep pace with inflation and costs. The event certainly cost a lot more for the second year and will cost more for the third year than it did the first year. So fun, safe, pays for itself. That's just all we need. What will it max out at? Well, so first of all, don't worry. These $500 prices you see on some of these events and stuff, we're never going to do anything like that. Okay, that's not it. So, but we made a 10% adjustment from year one to year two, and we're overdue for that. We're running about 20% inflation right now. That's about what inflation is running. So we really should raise it another 10%, to tell you the truth. But I haven't. If you register tonight, you will definitely get in at $82.50 for the weekend at one car for $82.50. $82.50 is for both days, correct? Yes. And Thursday, of course, is free. Thursday doesn't cost anything. So anybody can come and hang out and cruise with us and go to Lambert's and everything on Thursday. Justin Hill says hi. Well, hello, Justin. Yeah, we do have an item on the website for just Friday or just Saturday, but very few people will register for one day unless there's some unavoidable reason they already know in advance. I mean, literally about 98 to 99% of people register both days, $82.50. Tony's Hot Rod Garage is here. How's it going, Tony? Yep, Scarlet, the four-eyed Cuda. He is back in the No Name 500. We've got Scarlet and we've got Mean Street Mopar back in the No Name 500 from last year. So this is their year. Yeah, Mean Street Mopar. He's 386 subs away, but it is early. They can definitely all make it. Dust Devil Garage is a lot of people show up on Wednesday. Indeed. Thursday is a fun day. Thursday's a great day to be there. But remember, Thursday's a lot of administrative stuff and things like that. So on Thursday, we're still setting up. We're getting cars teched in. But Thursday's a good day to, come and hang out. But a lot of people still have stuff to do. Tony's Hot Rod Garage is gearing up for tonight's live. Andy will be on. We'll have an announcement. So check that out here in 30 minutes. I'm going to hand off to Tony's Hot Rod Garage. He'll be live after me. An announcement with Andy Wood. That sounds exciting. Coda saying the Lunati Voodoo. 227, 233 duration, 110 lobe separation, pulls 15 to 16 inches of vacuum at idle, and is 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, 455. Okay. Lars just put up the link to register for the No Name Nationals. Full throttle kind of guy. Welcome. Glad you could make it. It's always good having Andy on live. I agree. We typically get Andy on live every now and then here. We've got some great guests in the store this year. But tonight was just freestyle. So guest or not, this time we still set aside and come hang out Friday night. Yeah, Ron English says, I'll be busy volunteering if you want to help advance every. Yeah, Ron English is just good like that. He likes to help, and we really appreciate that, Ron. Joe says, full throttle kind of guy. Where have you been? Glad you're here. Working a ton of overtime. Well, that's what pays the bills, right? He says, I have a ton of updates. Cool. Dean Stevenson says, don't eat the foreign kiwis. Okay. He says, I'm taking what they're giving because I'm working for a living. I get that. Max Wedge Dick Dasher says, I got to get a Tunnel Ram t-shirt from Andy. Well, you'll get it from Gunslinger Graphics. I'm wearing one right now. The artwork on the back is unbelievable. I did not know they could put that kind of detail on a shirt. You just got to see it. You got to see it in person. The pictures are great, but in person, I can't believe how much it pops. BNR says there's no formula to predict engine vacuum per the best Corvette engineers in the world. Okay. Twisted Dennis is reminding us he's retired. That's cool. I can retire when I'm 100, maybe. Auto Salvage Outlaws is going to start cutting the bird up. You're going to cut it up. What are you going to cut it up for? Useful Entertainment says, does Gunslinger do the designing, or do you have to give them a final file? In 26 minutes and change, you can go on Tony's Hot Rod Garage Live, and that's the perfect place to ask that question. Tony can tell you whatever you want to know. He's in the chat here. So those who don't recognize or maybe associate the channel, Tony's Hot Rod Garage is our friend Tony Ross, and he runs Gunslinger Graphics. Did the shirt I'm wearing. He did the staff shirts for the No Name Nationals, and he does a lot of shirts and merch for content creators in the community. So he's doing a live right after this. If you have questions, go over there and ask him. ASO is going to cut some weight out of the Thunderbird. So there you go. Danny Boyd says, I've caught a few of his lives. Yeah. JB says 223 days to get my crap done. Well, actually, it's 222 days, 2 hours, and what is that? 35 minutes? 25 minutes. Bader's Workshop said, will there be a bounty on Mopar Joe this year? I don't know. Are you going to put one on him? Full Throttle kind of guy says, I've been using Placeit to generate logos and YouTube graphics. Okay, that's cool. I've got a mix. I design most stuff in-house, but there are a few things that because of what the design needs, I just can't quite do here. And so I outsourced them. I got some folks to do them. In fact, the artwork took, who knows why it took so long, but I finally got the artwork back from the sign shop today for the 3rd annual No Name Nationals clock. So it should be going out here real soon. But they have to do the final layout on that because of the design. I can't do that in-house. That may change, though. That may change. I know what design software they use, so I may start doing that in-house. JB says there's a bounty on Mater, $10 if he shows up. There you go. So ASO is saying that that's the same wheelbase as the Fox Body Mustang, that T-Bird. Yeah. Is it that short? Is that T-Bird that short, ASO? What is the wheelbase on that? I thought it was a little bigger than that. Maybe not. If that's the case, that's just Fairmont size. Yeah, that's surprising. Jim's Fastback Garage says his son has an 83 Aero Bird. Oh, yeah, those were good looking cars. I actually like the front end on those. Most people like the 87 style front end. I like the 86 down, the square grill, like the one that Glidden barrel rolled in Atlanta. That's what Jim's son has, is one of those. Wendy English is letting us know that at 9:37 in the East, she got home. We're glad you're home safe, Wendy. Jim says it's called a 4-eye. So yeah, so there's that Mustang, that the very few Mustangs that have the 4-eyed setup, and then those T-Birds, a few of them had the 4-eyed setup. I never thought about that because I've always thought of the 87 and up, the more aerodynamic one that had the acrylic headlight deal. I think of it as 4 headlights, even though it's not, I guess. Just, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It was the glass headlights. I mean, when I say 4 headlights, I think of that because it's kind of proportioned that way. Even though it is a single headlight, it's proportioned in that same amount of space. Danny Boyd says 79 to 86 was your 4-eyed Mustangs, and 69 too. No, 69 didn't. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but to me, that never looked like a 4-eyed car because the way the grill was. I never considered that, 4 headlights and 69 on the Mustang. I guess it was, but it never looked like it to me. Functional history says I didn't get 4 eyes until a couple of years ago. I get that. Well, I passed my DMV vision test last time, so I'm good till I'm 61. Dean Stevenson is telling us about his cubic centimeter to cubic inch conversion there. Okay, gotcha. Auto Salvage Outlaws says, I wish I could find an 83 T-Bird. Auto Salvage Outlaws, I might know where there is one. It might be for sale. Maybe. Functional history says I couldn't even see the DMV. Yeah. Useful Entertainment says when I was 16, I had to memorize the eye chart to DMV. I could probably do that if you could get the thing, but it's not a traditional eye chart here. Here it's this series of letters on both sides, and then they have 5 different lines, and it's not the one with the E at the top in that traditional chart. There's something different in Virginia. I mean, you still memorize it, but you have to be able to get it. JB says, I can bring my skates. Danny Boy would rather have the 80 to 82. Yeah, I like those. I think they're good looking cars. Auto Salvage Outlaws is wanting some action with the trash truck. Cool. Danny Boyd saying the 4-eyed Firebirds were 77 to 81. Yeah, that'd be right. That'd be like the Smokey and the Bandit cars. Yeah. Functional Histories couldn't stare at this Corvair anymore. I get that. Indirect connection renewed to CDL. He's doing fingerprints tomorrow for hazmat. Then a physical. Yeah. Travis's Mopar garages have to wait another 223 days. Close to it. Well, see, this year you've got your February 29th in there. Dean says something really profound. He said, any friend of Skeeter is a friend of mine. Okay. JB's just having fun. Well, me too. I enjoy this. Testa's Speed Shop. Thanks for joining the chat, Chris. How's it going? Your other hooligans are in here. Useful Entertainment and Riley's Junkyard and Petting Zoo. Dust Devil says that any Mustang older than 69 is a girl's car. I could get on board with that. Ron's crashing out for the night. Understand. Thanks for joining us, Ron. Appreciate you. Useful Entertainment. Marty agrees. He says he agrees with Brian. Quick poll in the chat. Is a 68 and earlier Mustang a girl's car? Yes or no? Jackie Abbott, how's it going? Jackie Abbott, when you get a chance, check out that story on King Arthur's baking products, the baking competition they're having. Okay, here we go. Dougster says yes. Most of the old parts and rust says no. Functional histories, yes. Useful entertainment, yes. Auto salvage, all depends on the horsepower. It was a yes or no question. Mater says yes. B&R says no. Let's see. We have another no. Buff says my 69 Mustang Fastback was not a girl's car. Yeah, that thing, but didn't that have that was a 327 Chevy in that with 2 4s, wasn't it? Yeah, Jackie, go check it out. Go check out the baking competition that King Arthur's Baking Products is having. I thought that was really interesting. I just read it. Jackie says no. Riley says, sorry, I missed the question. Is a 68 and earlier Mustang only a girl's car? Yes or no? Looks like we're pretty divided in the chat. We've got a lot of, I figured we would be more lopsided on that one. Dust Devil says horsepower does not matter. You can have a fast girl's car. Fair enough. Peckerwood Customs. Did Aaron sneak in here? I did not see him. Useful entertainment. All Mustangs are for girls. There we go. Peckerwood Customs. How you doing, Aaron? Hopefully we'll get to meet you in person this year. Two Hack says, look at the Tasker Ford AFXs in 66 and 7. Well, now you're really changing them, Jeff. Testa Speed Shop says 67 to 70 is the only Mustang. those are good looking cars. They're different. They're really different, and most people either really like them or really don't. Dizzy says, I know a girl with a 525 horsepower Mustang runs fives in the eighth. Is it a black Mustang? Indirect Connection says my 2024 No Name Nationals engine build is starting in 3 weeks. Hasn't it already started? Don't you have parts to machine service right now? Peckerwood can't come over here without inoculations, tetanus being the biggest one. So what do they? You can't come to America without having that stuff forced on you? What is the deal with that, Aaron? I've obviously never looked into that before. I've never come to America from another country. Okay, Lars has something up. King Arthur bread contest. You know it, Jade. Okay, yeah. You're talking about that car called the Urinal Biscuit, that black Mustang. I've seen that car run. Okay, he says he's kidding. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, I've never heard that. I wouldn't mind traveling internationally, but I won't anytime soon. And if that's true, that would be a real sticking point for me. Mean Street Mopar's in the chat. How's it going? They told Aaron you don't have to be juiced with the COVID stuff anymore. Okay. He said the Indirect Connection, I bought a bigger box of saltines. Okay. Auto Salvage Outlaws owned a vet for 3 hours, and it was like riding a bucking horse. I've only driven a vet a couple of times. Yeah, they don't buy a vet if you want to ride on like a couch with wheels. I mean, a vet is not a Cadillac. They were not made for the same buyer. Glad you can make it back by, Colleen. Functional Histories is asking, do you know who the fellow with all the Aspens and Valaris is? You may be talking about Dutch Guy's Garage. He's got several Aspens. We've got some other guys in the community that have them. Maybe that's who you're talking about. Southern Juju is here. Thanks for dropping by. Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans. How's it going? Yeah, that's it. Dutch. Yeah. Dutch Guy's Garage. He's in Pennsylvania too, I believe. Yeah. Or Michigan. Yeah, he's up in that area. Something like that. A Dodge bedpan. I mean, Aspen. Hey, those F bodies are coming around. They're good cars. The F body to me is kind of like, I know this is terrible, but it's like if you couldn't get an A body, you went with that. They have too much of that Malaise era junk on them, like the rubber that isolates everything. And I just never liked all that. The sideways torsion bars, but they're still good cars. They're good, worthy cars to build. Absolutely. They're still heavier than an A body and they need a little bit, but they're still cool. No doubt about that. Max Wedge Dick Dashley has a center console for a 78 RT. Well, that's cool. Mean Street Mopars says I scored 2 sets of 440 source roller rocker arms, 1:6 and 1:5 ratios. Okay. Indirect connections says I hate that suspension. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, 78 Roadrunner. Okay. Yeah, but that's still built on the F-body platform. Dougster says Malay's area like the Cordoba with fine Corinthian leather. Jim Fastback Garage has a 73 LTD with a 460. Good friend of mine had a 73 LTD with a 460. Comfortable and fast. I like that car. It was white. Low mileage. It's nice. Twisted Mopar says my Volare weighed 3250 with me in a 440. You took a lot out of it to get it there too. That's cool. I like the Super Coupes. Yeah, I thought they were cool. Auto Salvage says I got to diet and lose some. Well, everybody's on a diet. The question is, what kind of diet is it? Dougster says a friend of his had a bronze 75 LTD coupe with 460 power. Ooh, that sounds different and weird. Kind of like that. Functional History's father put a 440 in a Volare, had to cut the fenders. Yeah, it's tight. It's tight. With the headers they make now, I don't believe you'd have to, but that's the way most people did it. Run fender well headers. Indirect Connections saying Jay from Rabbit Transit Garage had a 78 Grand Marquis with a 460. We went through at least 3 right rear tires a month on that thing. Oh, I bet. See, Ford kept their 460 longer. Chevy kept their 454 longer. Chrysler's the one that got rid of the big block early, which is a shame. DNR's first car was a 77 LDD2 with a 302. Twisted Mopar says the header was a regular B body but changed to one tube. I never knew that. That's pretty cool. That's neat. I'm guessing they changed one of the tubes on the driver's side or it was a little tighter around the steering. That's just a guess. I don't know. That is interesting, though. I had no idea. BOP discontinued big blocks in 77. Okay. But, I mean, did they really have big blocks per se? Danny Boyd says Billy Carter took a leak on a runway. Yes, he did. Cletus, what's going on, man? Stuff with Cletus is in the chat. How you doing? I think you have to notch the frame for the oil pump. Yeah, okay. No idea. I've never done that swap. That is interesting. Buick and Olds did. Yeah, okay, I guess. Cletus, you got anything interesting going on over there and stuff with Cletus World? You and Nate making your plans to come back to Sykeston? Yeah, Riley says that Pontiac were all the same size, but they had the small and big crank journal. Right. I knew Pontiac did. I'm just not sure. I'm not, I don't know much about the BOP stuff, but we got lots of folks in here who do. Yes, and Dougster says all the Pontiacs were the same dimension from 326 to 455. That is correct, yeah. I learned that one a while back. Cletus says, I'm putting some videos out. We're doing No Name Nationals again this year for sure. Well, that's cool. Glad you guys are coming back. Full Throttle Kind of Guy says August of 78 was the last factory big block in the cars. Some of the commercial stuff and RVs and trucks and stuff had them a little bit longer. Danny Boyd says one could argue the lower deck 301 and 265s are small blocks. Okay. I have an interesting question that would be so much fun to pop up for this chat, but I don't think I'm going to. In fact, what I think I'll do is I'll come back on maybe middle of the live on Tony's, and if we're clear of all the announcement of Andy's and something Tony's cool with, I might ask it over there. That's probably a better place for such a thing, but it will be interesting to get the chat to weigh in on. I would ask Tony. I'll ask Tony. So I might swing in there a little later. We got just a few minutes here, then we're going to be handing off to Tony's AHRA Garage. Jim says to Cletus, I won your shirt and stickers last year. That's cool. Yeah, Cletus gave away some shirts and stickers at the No Name Nationals last year, so. Cope Racing Transmissions ask, any word on the clock? Yes. In fact, all of the parts on the clock are here. I picked up the last piece of it I needed a few hours ago. The clock will be going out very soon. T's Good Time Garage. Day late and $1 short, but howdy, gang. Well, how's it going, T? Glad you're here. Cletus is going to bring more merch to give away and a trophy this year. Well, cool. So we've got Camp Cletus, we've got Camp Dust Devil, Camp Bad Tree. We've got several camps going on at the No Name Nationals. BNR, are you just talking about your truck, the 96 GMC? Yeah, we're wrapping up here in just another minute. Mohawk says no more hand gesture. What's in the picture games? Well, you never know. We can't promise that won't happen again. Thank you, Dizzy. Dizzy, if Tony lets me ask the question for the chat, I would do that after their announcement with Andy, or only if it's cool with him. I think it'd be interesting. I would love to see this chat weigh in on my question, but people generally don't like non-automotive stuff here, so I try to limit it. Useful entertainment. I don't know. Usually at least as long as this one. Usually. They usually have a little bit more of a social live, but I know tonight he has an announcement with Andy, so that'll be a little bit different. And of course, his live got wrecked last week because he had some computer problems with a virus. But from what I understand, he's got all that remedied, so he's ready to go tonight. And we're approaching our time. Big Block 402 says 2A forever. Let me tell you, Stephen, my rights are more important than the 2A itself. The 2A memorializes the right I was born with. If there was no 2A, I'd still have it. But it's not that, believe it or not. I actually have some cool firearm content on YouTube. It's just all those videos I made private because, YouTube just doesn't like such things. All right. So we're at time. Thank all you guys for coming out. I'm going to shut down on time so that we can head over to Tony's Hot Rod Garage. So head over there. And with that, thank you. And I will see you guys all again probably Wednesday. Take care. Have a good evening.